So let's start off by looking at David Plouffe, who worked for Barack Obama. He is talking to Jen Psaki, who, of course, worked for Joe Biden. She was his spokeswoman and then became, hopped on that revolving door and now has her own show on MSNBC. So let's hear what David Plouffe and Jen Psaki have to say about the presidential race. And also you'll notice there's a little nugget about Bernie Sanders. See if you can find that Easter egg.
As you remember with Joe Biden back in 2020, if Buttigieg and Klobuchar and Beto and everybody hadn't gotten out and endorsed him right away after South Carolina, I'm not sure he would have beat Bernie Sanders. So you've got to get this down to a two-person race. And I do think there's enough Republicans out there who can say the following to themselves, create the permission structure. I love Donald Trump. Every airport in America should be named after Donald Trump. He's the greatest president ever, but he probably can't win because the media and judiciary is not fair to him. And so I'm going to vote for somebody else who can beat Joe Biden. Like that is there for someone. But, you've got to make that happen. And really by October, early November, you've got to be showing momentum.
So there you have Obama's former campaign manager, David Plouffe, basically saying the Republican race has to be whittled down, and saying that obviously Trump can't win. And what I thought was interesting is that this is kind of like the typical classic Democrat mistake or stupidity of thinking that GOP voters think just like them. He thinks that the GOP base cares about electability the way Dems have been trained to care about it, or Dems have trained voters to care about it. And the truth is, Trump actually is pretty electable, it looks like. If we take a look at this New York Times Siena College poll of registered voters, check that out.
Yeah. Is there an equivalent, I'm trying to think if there's like a Republican equivalent of like Pod Save America that talks about like electability all the time.
Right. I don't know, like Pod, what would it be even?
Some just like
Pod Save.
Some just like crappy, Texas? Like bigoted guy in the middle of nowhere. Todd Save America.
Pod
just
Save
some
America.
Guy named Todd that really sucks.
Pod Save America being great again. Pod Make America Great Again.
Yeah.
But it's just so funny because they're so out of touch, the Democrats. They never know how to speak about or to Trump voters. They also don't really care about that. But I also thought that, did you catch the hidden gem about Bernie?
I did, yeah. It's weird because I feel like they wouldn't have said that so close to the time, but maybe I missed that.
Yeah.
That felt like it was verboten when it was going down.
Right. So he just admitted, David Plouffe, this major DNC mover and shaker, Obama's former campaign manager, just admitted that basically all the other candidates had to coordinate and drop out of the race for Bernie to beat Joe Biden. And he said that out loud. As if that's not somewhat problematic. And he would know because obviously Obama was one of the people who behind the scenes helped make that happen. Because Obama leaves his mansion in Martha's Vineyard to sabotage Bernie Sanders' campaign, sabotage Keith Ellison's campaign for DNC chair, prevent NBA players from engaging in a strike, and skydive with Richard Branson. Oh, and help people not to speak woke ways.
Yeah, he just kind of pops back out there when he's got something really important to mess up for people, I would say,
Right.
Otherwise, parasailing. Yeah.
He's really good at promoting his stuff.
He seems like he really loves his wife,
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
He's a wife guy. Let the man be a wife guy.
Yeah, he is a wife guy. Like, I actually believe that they like each other as opposed to the Clintons, who can't stand each other and are like a total like marriage of political convenience.
Yeah. Although I don't know with the Clintons, did you remember that one speech? I think it was at the Democratic National Convention when Bill was talking about how much he wanted to have sex with Hillary when she was younger. It was so gross.
No, I think if I heard about that, I blocked it out.
Yeah. He didn't directly say have sex, but he implied it heavily.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, let's take a look. We just heard from some Dems. Let's take a look at how some Republicans are talking about the election. Here is Governor Chris Sununu, Republican of New Hampshire, who's running for president, although you may not know it because his numbers are so low. Here he is talking to Hugh about whether Sununu would vote for Trump if he won the primary.
Both of these names sound totally made up, by the way.
Yeah, especially Sununu. Yeah.
And Hugh
Hewitt, you're right. Hugh Hewitt.
That also true, sounds totally fake. Like a child would make up a name for a rich guy.
It's true to sound like an adult. An adult rich guy. Yeah. Hi, my name is Hugh Hewitt. I'm here for the interview. That's true. And then Chris Sununu, it should be like Sunny Sununu.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Do you support Trump if he's the nominee? I will.
Oh yeah, that's not going to happen though. Look,
but you would.
And we're going to have a strong Republican, but no. I have no doubt, given where the numbers are. I think I don't think after he loses, I don't think he's going quietly. I'll tell you that. I mean, the guy, he's kind of a crybaby in that sense. He's always. Have you seen his speeches?
But Governor, did I hear you right? You will support him if he's the nominee.
Oh, look, I'm going to support the Republican. There's no question about that. But
that's what I'm going to do too.
Yeah. But he's not going to be the nominee. He's really not. And look, I get the national polls, but when you're polling people, no offense to Kansas, Nebraska, Idaho, nobody's paying attention to the race in those states. Where they're paying attention to the Republican race is where he's having the most trouble.
Okay, so he's very sure that Trump isn't going to win, which is an interesting contrast because that same New York Times Siena poll that I mentioned, let's take a look at what it shows about Republican voters. So Republicans' preference for the 2024 nominee, if it were held today, it would be Trump, 54%. He gets 54%. DeSantis is not close, but the closest at 17%.
And he just let go of a ton of his campaign staff, right?
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
They probably didn't had its many advantages. Perhaps that was the bone of contention because he's not backing down from that claim. Chris Christie's at 2, and Chris Sununu, who wants us to listen to his analysis, he's not even getting 1% because he's not included on this image right here.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, so it's good to see that Democrats and Republicans are equally in denial about Trump's viability.
It's crazy that this is the third election cycle that we've been through where people are talking about how Trump can't get it. And one time he got it. One time he got very close. And now we're doing it again. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It just feels like this is just what elections are like now. As we just have to talk about Trump. He's never going away.
We have to talk about how unelectable he is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of polls and electability and the way the media misrepresents reality, let's take a look at another result from this New York Times Siena poll, which shows how the Democrats are doing. Joe Biden is at 64%, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. at 13%, and Marianne Williamson at 10%, which is a pretty significant place for R.F.K. to be and Marianne Williamson to be, especially Marianne Williamson, because R.F.K. gets a lot of media attention, and he's really tapped into like a couple of demographics. Marianne Williamson is getting pretty blacked out, I would say, by the media. Like R.F.K. just did this Fox News town hall. Marianne's not doing a Fox News town hall. And yet, despite the fact that these people are doing relatively well, the Dems won't have a debate.
Yeah, they're not going to have a voting primary, are they?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So it's just pathetic. And, sometimes when I say this on this show or on Useful Idiots, I'm like, they should be allowed to debate and they should be covered by the media. And then people are like, oh, this person sucks. They'll say that about R.F.K. and Marianne Williamson. Like, yeah, okay, fine. They're also running against Biden, and the media should be covering them, and the Democratic Party should be allowing them to debate.
Yeah,
it's kind of a weird argument for me when people are like, "Well, I really don't like this person, so I don't care."
Yeah, I mean, like, I think there should be a primary, and if there's not a primary, like, it should be definitely made clear to people that this is not, we can drop all pretense of this is like any kind of democratic election process.
Representative, right?
Yeah.
Representative democracy. Yeah.